The wispy tea tree dancing in the wind, inviting you to step into this breathtaking paradise nestled in the heart of Singapore. Welcome to Min's Garden, a multiple award-winning private home garden. If you love to DIY and are looking for landscaping tips and great ideas to make your own tropical retreat, stay tuned for tons of inspirations. You know you're in the presence of some amazing garden when you walk along the street and there is no need for the address. It's the house that is bursting with trees and plants spilling out all over to the curbside. As you can see here, their home is totally enveloped with greens, allowing them to sometimes forget that they have neighbors. This jungly masterpiece is the work of a lovely couple. Both are writers and dreamers. Meet Irene and Ronnie. And I'll have to say, Irene takes the lead here. She is the visionary and chief paradise maker.
Gardening has become a second nature to me, a way of life. I can't live without plants. Wow!
While Ronnie has been every bit the darling husband, getting his hands dirty in the soil and supporting Irene in making her dreams come true. And Ronnie had even gone a step further, written a book on the garden. It's a delightful little read giving intimate insights into their gardening journey. And as Ronnie suggests, it's meant to be leisurely read, preferably with a glass of wine. You can now win a signed copy of the book, which is now out of print and no longer for sale, by counting the number of butterflies in the entire video, like this one. More details in the description section. Together, they have built this wildly romantic garden over the past 30-odd years. Irene claims that her garden is so dense, it's impossible to find any more holes to add any more plants.
Still do.
No. I, been restraining myself. Look at this. I can't find a hole to...
Oh yeah, but she still finds.
And we can see she is indeed very good at utilizing spaces. Irene truly embodies the Singaporean mindset. The use of every bit of land is planned to perfection. There is incredibly dense planting here. It mimics the jungle perfectly with the beautiful chaos and layers of plants, with little treasures tucked away here and there, giving you a real sense of wonder at every turn. For example, this leaf giving shade to this precious begonia, which does not like to be too hot. And a bright patch of variegated costus here to brighten up the spot from the sea of greens. And this monstrous philodendron biliaceae planted next to a palm in a bright spot so that it has something to latch on, climb, and grow to its full potential.
I actually got a small cutting of about a foot long. It cost me less than $10, yeah. And lo and behold, it just grew, and it has since spawned so many babies, yeah, including this clump here, and the earlier one you saw, and lots of other babies. It's just such a robust and vigorous grower.
I think I recall that you had one which won an award.
Didn't win an award because it was too big, so they disqualified me.
Oh my, it's just too nice and too big. What?
Yeah,
How can they do
I
that?
know, some people were rather indignant for me. They say, this is definitely a winning plant.
Yeah,
okay,
yes.
So they say it didn't meet the specs of the
You were
competition.
overqualified for the competition. Okay.
Yeah. So, but it hasn't stopped growing. It's such an easy plant to grow, yeah.
Yeah. There are so many species here that it would put some botanical gardens to shame. And under these seemingly random plantings, there are actually thoughts behind it. So each plant has been given a spot where they could thrive to be their best. And even the neighboring plants are carefully selected so that they help each other and that they can look good together. Hi, I'm Irene and welcome to my channel Leafing Around, where we look at the most beautiful garden in the world so that we can be inspired to make our own little paradise. Now, I've seen many beautiful gardens, but this one has been the most meaningful for me because it has inspired me the most when it came to making my own paradise. Why? Because it is a DIY garden by a plant lover done out of sheer passion and over time, not something that's put together instantly by any landscape designer. And so if she can do it, so can I. And the fact that my name is also Irene, so we share the same name, I think I'm off to a good start. I had studied this garden intensively through its Facebook and Instagram page, Min's Garden. It's been a real source of inspiration for garden designs and information on plant IDs and how to care for them. And to finally be here is kind of surreal. Today, I'm paying homage to a very special garden and gardener.
When we started creating our own tropical garden in the early years, we drew inspiration from the verdant and exotic beauty of Bali. You know, it is a great source of inspiration for my own Bali retreat. Organized chaos.
Oh, everything all mixed up, and people could think it's chaotic, but it's actually so beautiful when they put it together. This is a Madalena, and look at the beautiful flowers. And here we have a nice anthurium next to the bilite, and then down here we have gloriosum, and then this is caladium begonias, and this is the lemon lime philodendron. And you know, surprisingly, the leaves are all in pretty good condition for a garden that is outdoor and exposed to the elements. And this Homalomina here, I think it's a Homalomina. It is gorgeous. Look at the silvery and grayish leaves. And then right next to it pops this colocasia and alocasia. And then as you wander and look inside, come inside here, have a look. You see this gorgeous Begonia exotica. This for me has been a very difficult begonia to take care of, and it's quite happy here, like stuffed in between plants. This Dressiana is really something. It reminds me of something that's from outer space, from the galaxy, and it's a beautiful, beautiful pattern that really pops in the garden. And here we see the Begonia maculata, a very popular begonia that was all the rage, I think in 2019, 2020. And here, Irene, I see she has planted them on the ground. I used to think that they were real divas, but here I see that it's outdoor, on the ground. So I think they're a lot more robust. But let's see though what they are surrounded by. They are really enclosed by a lot of plants above and around it. So I think that's where the begonia thrives. In Irene's garden too, you can see a lot of sculptures. Like this one is almost disguised as a plant. It's a really nice way to break up the plantings and still not overshadow any of the plants here. The hands of Irene had lovingly cultivated this garden for more than 3 decades. Her husband Ronnie claims credit to have started the gardening journey with her and was very involved in the earlier years. But now that the garden is mature, he has been banned from interfering with the garden. And so, having been relieved of his gardening duty, he now tends to his life of leisure. Back in the 80s, Irene and Ronnie lived in a condo with their 2 little girls and about 100 plants. So Ronnie actually wrote a book about their gardening journey. It's called Gardener's Log, and I'll just read you a little chapter here. It's called A Patch of Green in the Sky. Every Saturday was moving day at our previous condo. To catch the morning sunshine, we lug our plants, including those in the darkest indoor corner, out to the sun-drenched balcony for the weekly R&R. There they got a dousing wash off the week's dust from the leaves, and on serious gardening weekends, we gave them extra TLC of insecticide, fungicide sprays, and fertilizers. Occasionally, we even sprayed leaf shine for that spiffy party look. So, Irene, what kind of gardener are you?
I would describe myself as obsessive, compulsive, acquisitive, a plant addict and a hoarder. Why am I such an obsessive gardener? I've been gardening for more than 4 decades actually. I love getting, down and dirty, digging into the earth, smelling the earth. Gardening, helps me to lose my thoughts and worries. It's a great way to connect with nature and see things grow and be rewarded, when the plants respond well. Yeah.
Soon the condominium was just not enough for their plants anymore, and then they stumbled upon this perfect house and fell in love with the piece of land.
We started this garden from a blank canvas.
Yeah.
This used to be a lawn.
But they saw the potential in it and became to skillfully, artfully transform that barren piece of land into this retreat today. Now let's dive into the creation process. Both Ronnie and Irene are tree lovers and had the foresight to plant them right away after they moved into their house.
I think I planted like 10 McCarter. Probably only 1 or 2 are left because the squirrels came and they always attack the crown of the
palm.
So, yeah, we had 6 majestic traveler's palms.
And this is truly an iconic palm tree, or technically it's not a palm, it belongs more to the ginger banana family. You can see it lining up the iconic Raffles Hotel, but eventually they chopped it due to worries about it helping to breed mosquitoes. Here I'd like to pause and talk a little bit about palms. I think palms are an essential thing you must have for a tropical garden. It gives it the height, and if you grow them in a cluster, they can even be like a privacy screening for you.
At the very beginning, I planted a row of palms because I wanted screening.
However, do bear in mind the height of the palm that you've selected, because the palm typically cannot be pruned. If you do, they will die. So select carefully, understand about the height they're gonna get to, and then make sure you're happy with that. There are some gorgeous palms here, Liquala grandis, and many others that I don't know the name, the Liquala ramsayii, gorgeous. At the entrance of Min's garden, one is greeted by a weeping tea tree. It filters out the harsh light of the sun into soft shade with its feathery leaves, and it sways and dances in the breeze. And when crushed in hand, the leaves emits a very nice aromatic fresh scent. Irene loves it. And in the evening, when lit with fairy lights, it transforms the garden into a most romantic place. Now this may look like the whipping willow, but it's not. Quite a different species. The whipping willow, also known as Salix babylonica, originates from China, and you will often find landscape paintings of these trees by the lake, by the river, and for good reasons. They are thirsty. This means you need to think twice about having them in your garden. The roots can be really invasive, and it often zaps water from its neighbors, the plants around it. And avoid planting it next to drainage or sewerage systems. The roots will be attracted to them and can cause damage. Irene also planted seedlings of trees without fully knowing what they were. Some grew up to be very special. One of these is the tambusu tree. It is a handsome tree with deeply fissured dark brown bark and produces creamy yellow flowers with a sweet fragrance which perfumes her garden when they are in bloom. Later did she realize that this tree is actually a protected species in Singapore, and so she's actually not allowed to cut it. And fun fact, this tree is actually featured on Singapore's $5 note. And please appreciate the fact that I ran to the botanical garden in the hot sun to capture this. This specific tree on the note is a portrait of the tambusu tree that is in the Singapore Botanical Garden today. There's also a Malayan dwarf golden coconut tree, one of the first trees they planted 33 years ago, and it produced bumper crops of golden coconuts. Irene had insisted on having a coconut tree as it evokes images of holidays on a tropical island. Altogether, the towering palms and trees provide the backdrop and shade for Irene and Ronnie to start planting a diverse range of plants below. For example, the trunk of this coconut tree provides the structure for climbing aroids and hanging staghorn ferns and orchids and gives shades to the plants below. So this coconut tree is actually made to work really hard.
Do you get to eat them?
No, it's too, first of all, it's too tall. The squirrels come, just like the star fruit tree that we have. Never get to it. We get a lot of white cockatoos and parakeets.
Sorry, there's an ant on your
Is
nose.
it? Yeah, that's why something is disturbing.
Now let's take a peep inside their home. We're greeted by the warm embrace of the red brick wall. The living room is bathed in soft, warm glow of this huge rattan pandan lamp. You can see clearly their affection for the green world and nature manifested indoor too. The rattan sofa sets, adorned with cushions, bearing motifs of lush foliage, beckons us to take a seat, as though inviting us to immerse ourselves in the embrace of nature's arms. And here a magnificent lamp with blooms and vibrant colors of the foliage, as if it was plucked from a tropical rainforest and suspended here, casting an enchanting glow that radiates life. But this cozy living room is not where Irene and Ronnie choose to linger. Instead, their hearts draw them further, beyond these walls, beyond this wide French glass sliding door, into their paradise outside. They are more often found in this outdoor living room, this tranquil patio that overlooks the picturesque strip of the pond and their garden.
So I think a tip when you're building your own garden, always consider to create a space where you can sit. Now this one is a gorgeous, generous space here. And because, after all your effort in building a gorgeous, beautiful garden, you do want to have some time to sit back and admire and appreciate what you've done.
So as we continue our exploration through this remarkable home and garden, we are left with a profound understanding that for Irene and Ronnie, their true sanctuary lies not within these walls, but in the boundless beauty and ever-evolving landscape that had lovingly cultivated outside. Ronnie and Irene started out with the love of trees and palms, but they quickly expanded their love to many other species.
I'm a promiscuous plant lover with many favorites.
Like these orchids, these ones are the tiger orchids. And there was a phase where she was obsessed with begonias and had them growing in different parts of the garden. Then came the aroid craze, where she was madly sucked into anthuriums, philodendrons, and alocasias like the rest of us.
So this scene here is something I have seen 1,000 times on Facebook, and I tried to replicate it. So this here used to have a huge clump of Alocasia cuprea, and it's so lovely. This ribs here reminds me of abs. So then I went out to buy 2 big pots myself, and Irene used to have like a dozen leaves here. It was so lush. Me too when I first bought mine, but I'm down to maybe 2 leaves now. I see Irene kind of has only 1 or 2 leaves left too. So the thing about this is quite finicky, it's quite diva, but don't worry, it's not completely dead. It can come back alive, and we pray that it will come back in a lushful manner. There is an amazing party of plants happening here. We have the anthurium, maybe it's a regale or a hybrid. Then we have the caladium, this pink. It's just so delicate and beautiful looking. And then we have the costas, and then we have selaginellas. I like the use of selaginellas as ground covers because they can be very bushy, and so quite ideal for ground covers, and also they look like ferns, plus they're very easy to take care of. Let's see what other gems there are inside. This is the Caladium red beret, quite a sought after caladium for its nice blotches. This is a tiny one. Oh, gorgeous, beautiful color. And then this here is a fern tree, and creeping up on this tree here is, I think, a Raphirodora of sort, not very sure, but every single inch here is utilized. A tree does not just remain a tree here. There are lots of creepers and even some bird nests that's growing on it.
Tall, dark, and handsome.
It bends to the wind, but never breaks.
Bamboos. They are a great addition to gardens. They make good privacy screen and is a favorite for those trying to inject some zenith into a more minimalist kind of garden. Philatochis nigra, or the black bamboos, are highly ornamental. They transition from green to ebony black by the 3rd year of growth. The black bamboo that they have is said to be one of the least aggressive of the running bamboos, and they're really proud of these mighty black beauties today. Now, it's true, bamboos can be invasive, and there are more than 1,000 species of bamboos. They're categorized into 2 types, running versus clumping varieties. Clumping bamboos behave just like their name suggests. They grow tightly in clumps, and so they are kind of growing out in a circular shape over time, and it's easier to keep them contained. But they're usually top-heavy, narrow at the bottom, wide at the top. So they are much more appropriate as a feature plant that's planted in the midst of the garden, but not so great if you want the bamboos to serve as screens because they will leave gaps in between. If you're looking for bamboos to function more as hedges or screen, running bamboos are more suitable, and they work well even in narrow planting sites. The black bamboo, which Irene and Ronnie has here, is one of the least aggressive of the running bamboos, but they're not easy to come by. The next feature plant is this golden screw pine, or variegated Pandanus baptisii. Towering nearly 2-story high, this striking plant makes a distinctive sculptural feature from top to bottom. As we bring our gaze down, we see the stout trunk, which then branches out into many thick stilt roots near the base. These roots themselves are a sight to behold.
I love the stilt roots, yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
Now that you mention it, the stilt roots and then the golden color.
Yes, it's almost like a burst of fireworks actually at night because there's a uplight. So it looks quite beautiful. But for like $15, I think I spent less than that.
Wow.
A long time ago.
How old is this?
This one is at least 25 years old.
This variegated beauty is great as a feature plant, but will need room to accommodate its sprawling habit. At night, when lit, the plant sparkles like firewood displays against the dark night. Simply magical. We also find intriguing sculptures and ornaments dotting the garden. This range from the functional, practical ones like benches and jars to seemingly frivolous ones. This Chungai wood swing here, placed strategically at the corner of the garden, provides a good focal point and adds depth. It also invites you to rest your weary feet, sit, and appreciate the beauty that you are enveloped in. And this jar with 4 geckos makes an impressive daytime feature by itself, breaking up the vast green palette, while at night it transforms into a lighting jar with a hidden spotlight illuminating the garden. Note the careful placements of ornaments too. Frogs and turtles, creatures that are fond of water, they stay near the water features, while the birds are chilling around the trees. Now, this lady was like all the way from a Brisbane nursery. And years later, when the pond was built, the perfect spot was found. She became the pensive girl looking at her reflection in the water. Then there is this Parastone statue from Bali, which Irene had lovingly named Orang. He's covered in moss, and then appropriately, there is a creeper running around his head, looking as though he's wearing a crown. So in terms of the hardscaping, apart from the bigger items like the swings and the jars, there are so many other little treasures too dotting around the garden, rewarding those who take the time to slow down, to enjoy the little delights hidden in the midst of planting. There is nothing more calming than the sound of running water.
So I feel like in any tropical garden or any garden that you have, a very good tip to really engage all your senses, because it's not just for the plants, the sights, or sometimes even the smell if you have fragrant plants, but also the audio, the sound makes a real difference to help you relax in a garden. And what could be better than water? So this is one water feature that Irene has got here, and there's another one over there.
The pond is my husband's gift to himself. when he reached 50, he said, I want a pond as a birthday gift. I said, okay.
But he had to negotiate hard with Irene on the size of the pond, for she was getting pretty territorial and found it really hard to give up the garden space for his pond.
Then we bargained. He wanted a big pond. I said, no, I want, yeah. So in the end, I settled. I said, no more than 5 feet. The rest all mine.
Wow, it looks like you did a great job, because
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
the rest of the garden is already yours.
So we were actually planning to have a pond that goes all the way right there. I said, no, no, no.
Ronnie shared that Irene had taken a ruler to ground daily to make sure the construction of the pond is well within the space limit that she had issued approval for. The simple pond is now so much part of their garden that they can't imagine not having it. There are other smaller features dotted around the garden, like this Bellini's water fountain made with Parastone. It weighs a ton. It has a large, shallow basin, and it's the wild bird's favorite watering hole.
I was also strongly influenced by the late world-renowned Australian landscape garden designer, Michael White. Michael died about 8 years ago. He was more famously known as Made Wijaya, gone too soon. We wanted a lush, jungle-like garden spilling with bowl plants, palms and frangipani trees, wooden carvings, water and lighting features and exotic decorative Balinese elements amidst the organized chaos. It's a two-time winner
Of what?
of the best private garden in Singapore. 10 years
Wow,
later.
I am in the best
Yeah.
private garden in Singapore.
Yeah, twice.
Twice.
I was hoping to do a hat trick because I think the garden has since grown so much better, but there was no more contest. They stopped it for a landed property.
Because she just keeps winning it, so they know.
We now go up step by step on these weathered brick stairs, and a wooden table and bench come into view, poised like a rustic outdoor dining room. Here, beneath the open sky, Irene and Ronnie often convene for a meal or for a drink. And this, my dear viewers, is their garden room, a natural extension of their abode where the boundary between indoor and outdoors seems to dissolve. Such an enchanting place. The ambient sounds of the bird song, the rustling leaves, and the soft murmur of the trickling water serve as an orchestra for our senses in this secluded realm. And the greenery that envelopes us, it creates an oasis of serenity. Towering palms reach skywards, and their fronds swaying gracefully in the gentle breeze, casting dappled shadows upon the ground below. As we lower our gaze, we see other exciting species. This is the Equinera walliciana, a handsome dwarf palm that originates from Peninsular Malaysia, and it's a slow grower, this one. This particular plant has been in Irene's garden for more than 25 years now. Here we have the Certosperma johnstonii. It looks like a reptile with pink, brown and blood red vining. It loves the water, and here it's planted in a granite pot with no drainage holes. As we explore further, we discover an intricate tapestry of plant life. The garden has been thoughtfully designed with layers of planting that creates depth and texture. Aroids with their impressive size and striking foliage. This is the Philodendron gloriorum with its handsome white veins parked right next to this ever-classic Monstera deliciosa.
What we see here in the design of the garden is also a very important principle. If you have the luxury of space, you can create little gardens within your garden. So this is what's happening here. Here we see a little corner, and there's a place for you to sit down and pause. And here again, a little corner that's bigger, where Irene says that this is where they invite their friends over and entertain, and then surrounded by these gorgeous, gorgeous plants. The reason why I am suggesting that you have little gardens instead of one huge one is that a huge garden, you just walk in and then you see everything and that's it. But if you create little corners and little sub-gardens, it forces you to walk around, and the place just feels never-ending because you don't actually see the edges of the garden. Like here, although we're nearing a corner and a fence, but you actually don't see the fence and you don't see the neighbors.
Kueh Pai Tea, or top hat, is a beautiful Nonya delight. It's like salad, but bursting with flavors in a crispy cup. Irene is a great cook, and when not in her garden, she is here in the kitchen. And what a view! Generous big doors and windows in the kitchen, opening up to the garden outside. Truly inviting and allows you to breathe in nature when prepping meals.
Some plants that are just right in your face. So what a pleasure to be doing dishes here.
Irene spends a lot of time in the kitchen, and the key takeaway for us, I feel, is this. Find a spot in the house that you are spending the most time on, and then find ways to create the view and enjoy the beautiful garden or collection of plants that you have from that spot.
And then what's more exciting beyond the kitchen is the potting shed. This to me is like the man cave, you know, for a gardener, where you keep everything you need. And oh, her propagation are all here. Let's see what else is here. Oh my God.
One can usually find Irene spending hours in the potting shed on weekends, tending to her plant babies.
I like to create things and watch them grow, from tiny seeds to beautiful big plants, producing fruits and flowers. It's very, I just enjoy nourishing and nurturing. Yeah, it's so rewarding, the whole process. Yeah.
So when you are designing your garden, do you allocate an area where this magic and also the mess can happen, where you could do your potting, where you could do your propagation, or even a specific area for the sick plants that you can bring in and segregate them from the other healthy plants? So a potting shed, somewhere, backstage for your garden, which is really the stage.
Now, a garden like this is high maintenance. Irene is a daily gardener. There is always something to do.
Gardening is a constant job. There's always something to do. As they say, a garden is never done. Every plant, big or small, needs tender, loving care. Some are more fussy and temperamental than others and need higher maintenance. Like humans, they fall sick, or when they die, it can be very heartbreaking.
And you can see the extent that Irene goes out to care for her plants, covering them with newspapers to shield them from the sun when it gets too harsh, and even protecting them from the rain with an umbrella to make this magnificent white taka bloom last longer. Do you talk to your plants?
When my plants are doing well, I give them praise, and a little pat on not on the back, but on the leaf. Plants are actually very responsive. So when I'm potting or propagating them, I try to use encouraging words and ask them to do well. But if they just sulk or go into a funk, I will scold and threaten them if they don't buck up.
What aspects of gardening do you like most?
Buying new plants. Shh, don't tell my husband. And I like starting a new project. I mean, to do that, I have to rip out a whole section. And yeah, as you can see, my garden is very, very packed. There's no more room, I can't find a hole to
but she still finds.
to shoehorn any more plants. And because of that, I now have to declutter with a vengeance. Yeah. And I think Marie Kondo will be proud of me and give me the thumbs up.
As the sun sets over this tropical paradise, the garden transforms into a magical wonderland. Twinkling lights illuminates this botanical masterpiece and makes it a truly romantic spot. As Irene and her husband sits down for an intimate dinner in their backyard, we bid farewell to them. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with others. Thank you.